All right. Welcome to another edition of the J&J Sports Express here on Wednesday nights. We look at 5 of the best NFL games of the week. I'm your host, Jeff Cadillac, with my co-host, as usual, JB Ellis. JB, how you doing this evening?
Doing good, doing good. How's it going over there?
It's going good. It's going good. A lot of football. We're in week 9 of the NFL season. A lot of things going on. A lot of trade deadline. Maybe we'll get a chance to talk about it later. Um, Firing, of course, with the Raiders. They're always making news, like I said last week. But let's get to first game of the week. Just want to let everybody know, if you're watching, I'm 8-0 on Thursday night. 8-0 against the spread, my folks. That's 8-0 against the spread. If you
So,
watch
so in other
us,
words, in
if
other
you
words,
watch
if
what,
if they
go ahead.
followed you and they bet your 8 picks, they'd be making a lot of money right now, right?
Definitely on Thursday night. Thursday night, which is tough. The highlight games Thursday, Sunday night, Monday night, very tough sometimes, and it's not easy to come through on those games. But if you're above 500, you're doing well. But here, look, 8-0. But let's get to the first game, which happens to be the Thursday night game. This one is tough. It's not an easy one to figure out for me. I don't know if it's easy to figure out for you, but I'll let you take a first stab at it. It's Tennessee Titans at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh is the home favorite, laying 3. How do you like this game, JB?
It's a tough game. I mean, Tennessee had a nice win last week. Pittsburgh is a tough team at home. You got Levis, who's probably going to play for Tennessee, who was played really well last week. But it's hard to go against Pittsburgh. They just, for some odd way, with the team they have, they just find ways to win. It's like an X factor. I would love to say it's because they have a better offense or they're the superior team. I mean, they might be against Tennessee at this point, but overall, I think this is an evenly matched game. But I really like Pittsburgh in this game because of coaching and because of what they have. I mean, that X factor is so big. It's nice to see a team that just is stable and does what they need to do, shows up week after week, and just finds ways to win. I mean, they're 4-3, but with the talent they have, no one would have thought they'd be 4-3.
Well, I don't know what team you're looking at, but they certainly didn't show up last week. And you liked Pittsburgh last week. I like Jacksonville, and I said on this program that Jacksonville always plays Pittsburgh tough, no matter what their record was. And Jacksonville basically beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh on both sides of the ball, 20-10. Now, this game, Tennessee, the problem with Tennessee is you don't know which team is going to show up. Okay. They beat Cincinnati, which is always a tough team. But who do they lose to? They lose to teams that you definitely think they should beat. And week to week, you never know. This week, you got first of all, about Tennessee, they have a great rushing offense. Everybody knows about Derrick Henry. If he gets going, you can forget it. He's running against the 27th rush defense in the NFL. Don't think he's like ready to foam at the mouth for this one. And Will Levis, okay, he had a great game, but it was against Atlanta. He did what he had to do. He played well against Atlanta. You want to beat the bad teams. You want to come in very well. You're right. Pittsburgh at home is tough. They have the 30th total defense, which is pretty bad as well. Last week, if I'm not saying that Will Levis is going to be throwing 4 TDs again. Turnovers are definitely going to be big here. If Derrick Henry can get going, I don't think there's any stopping them. If Pittsburgh somehow finds a way to stop Derrick Henry and Will Levis, he's got to spread that ball around. He's got to make Pittsburgh think. You can't have TJ Watt and the rest of the defensive line in your face all game because it's not going to happen. This is a very tough game to figure, but I like Tennessee off the win against Atlanta. I know Pittsburgh is a little bit on a bounce back and everything, but their defense, that secondary, if Will Levis could dissect the secondary on Pittsburgh, he's going to have this game for Tennessee. So I got to take Tennessee right now,
Right.
+3.
I definitely hear what you're saying. I mean, Tennessee hasn't been able to win on the road. They had the Colts on the road. They could have beat them. And even with Derrick Henry, they're still the 13th ranked rushing offense. So, they're not really running the ball very well either, considering.
Yeah, but their offense always is a small minded offense because Derrick Henry and it's what if the offensive line is able to do their job, then Tennessee will roll. Okay. If Will Levis is also able to make some passes and spread the offense, then Derrick Henry can get going as well because the defenses can't be just focused in on the runner if the runner is not being used all the time. If it's not 30 times and Will Levis is putting the ball up, the defense has to focus other places. And then all of a sudden, Derrick Henry hits them, and it's like they don't know what to do next because they're going to be out of position. It's all about, the play action pass is very important also in the NFL. And if Will Levis can get that going, listen, he can't be a one-game wonder. He's got to move forward because I think Tennessee is going to be moving on Ryan Tannehill. I think his days are numbered over there. Mike Vrabel has to get something going in Tennessee. They've been hovering too long, and they got to do something. And if Will Levis is the next guy up, we'll see what happens Thursday night. But I'm liking Tennessee. This is a tough game, and I think it's going to come down to the wire. But I like Tennessee plus the points.
It's going to be a good game, at least. That's for sure. Decent primetime game to watch.
The next game up, we're looking at in Germany. Miami is plus 2.5 at Kansas City. Kansas City is technically the home team here. Another tough game to figure out, but JB, I'll let you go first.
So this is the first game ever in Frankfurt, Germany. You got Miami, who's got the number 1 offense, versus Kansas City, the number 4 offense. The way I look at this game, Miami hasn't beaten anybody good this year. Their wins, if you look at who they beat, they beat nobody's. Kansas City's coming off a loss to Denver. Mahomes wasn't feeling well, possible flu or whatever was going on with him. They're going to bounce back, and they're going to destroy Miami the same way Miami got destroyed against Philly, same way they got destroyed against Buffalo. They just don't have the talent for whatever reason to compete against the top teams. I need to see them beat a top team before I can start respecting them. So I would take Kansas City all day in this game.
There's another game that's tough to figure out because I agree what you said. I already have this game posted on my website, and I picked Miami, but I'm kind of leaning Kansas City. I don't know. I don't want to change my pick because this is a big game for Miami. They do have the number 1 offense in the NFL, but the problem is, like you said, they haven't played anybody. They lost to Philadelphia. They lost to Buffalo. All the other games were against crap teams. They beat them, New England, the Jets, the Giants, not really teams that are going into the playoffs. Kansas City also hasn't beat anybody a big game either. They've only beaten Chicago, their big blowout win. They beat the Chargers. The Chargers aren't going anywhere. They beat Denver. They lost to Denver last week. Had I known that Mahomes had the flu the whole weekend and he was getting IV the same day of the game, probably would have taken Denver in that game with the points at home because Mahomes, he obviously didn't look well in that game. I mean, he was all over the place. He wasn't his usual self. He didn't play a Mahomes type game. This is a tough game because Miami got to either put up or shut up. And Kansas City, again, they haven't really beaten anybody. I mean, both these teams have nice records. And if the season ended today, it would definitely be they'd be playoff teams. But they are not, they have not beaten anybody that you could actually write home about. And
no, but the difference between the two is Kansas City can rely on its past performance previous years. Miami, this is really their
previous
first
years
year
aren't going to win on Sunday.
I get it, but they really haven't. They've only played a couple of good teams. Really the only good team that they've played is Detroit. You take away that game, their other loss was to Denver. You can only play who you're scheduled against. So,
right.
But you can at least say that they have the pedigree to win. Miami, this is their first year of actually being really good, and they haven't had a good win against a good team.
I know
that's the difference. That's why it's tough.
I picked Miami for this game. I'm still thinking about it. If you look at my website and everything, you probably know I still am thinking about it. So I'll take it from there. Right now, I like Miami. I might change because we'll see what's what. I'm really.
Question for you, because I know you go deep into analyzing, and I'm more off of a feel of how I pick. The game being in Germany at a neutral site, how does that affect how you analyze the game?
It really doesn't. It's a way factor. It's, these guys are professionals. Okay. It's not a college team. They're away from home, that kind of thing. These guys are paid professionals. They know they have a job to do. They could be cut right after the game in the NFL. It doesn't matter. You have to show up and you have to do well. You have to put up or shut up in the NFL. It really doesn't, Jacksonville, believe it or not, is so accustomed to playing in London that they actually have a good record in London. They're about a few games over 500. They play certain games. You look at them and you say, wow, I can't believe this team actually loses games. But for everybody else traveling over the water, it's a different ball game.
Yeah, definitely is. You look at previous this year, Jacksonville had back-to-back games in the UK,
Right.
Which was a great advantage for them when they beat Buffalo.
And they won both games.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
So next game we're looking at is Dallas at Philly. Philly's the favorite, home favorite by 3. I'll start off the analysis on this one. Philly's got the number 3 total offense, the 7 rushing offense, 7 pass offense. Dallas, honestly, who is Dallas beating? You want to talk about teams that Dallas is beating? They've beaten the Giants, the Jets, New England, the Chargers, the Rams. They've lost at San Francisco and they lost at Arizona. I'll tell you something right now. I like Philly in this game. Dallas, Dak Prescott is who he is. He's a 4th-round draft choice. He's not, under pressure. He's not a good guy. The running game goes south. Philly's going to be pumped up for this game. It's at Philly. The crowd's going to be going nuts. I know how the Cowboys travel and everything, and, the fans travel, but I like Philly in this game. Lay the 3. They'll beat them at least by 7.
This is probably one of the better games of the weekend, and it's important for both teams. If Dallas wants to compete in the division, they have to win this game. And if Philly wants to win the division, they could basically put it away here because this would give them a nice lead. They're 7-1, they'd be 8-1, and the Cowboys would be 5-3. So that's 2.5 games plus the tiebreaker right now. But for some reason, it's a division game. Philly has not looked like Philly this year. They've won, which is great, but they just haven't been the Philly that they were last year. Dallas, on the other hand, like you said, they've beaten nobody. They haven't won a tough game yet. This is going to be a test for Dallas if they can compete. And I kind of like them because it's a division game. They know everything Philly's going to do. They know it well. Division games are strange. That doesn't mean that Dallas is the better team. I think Philly's by far a better team, but because it's a division game, I think this is going to be an upset, and Dallas is going to pull this one out and make the NFC East an interesting division.
Nah, I couldn't disagree with you more.
That's what makes the show so great.
I totally feel that Philly, look, they're toying with teams. They let Miami tie the game up, and then they just went ahead and beat them. Last week, they let Washington take the lead 24-17. Then they scored on 3 straight possessions, touchdowns, and they won the game. Washington got a dummy touchdown at the end. They still won by 7. Philly is playing with people. They do what they have to do, and they take care of business. Nobody is stopping them on the tush push. Nobody's stopping them. And now they got Julio Jones. Once he gets rolling, forget it. Now you got wide receivers that the defense has to cover on both sides. Plus, they also got DeAndre Swift back there who could run, at will. Who's Dallas going to stop? Really? They're terrible. I can't believe you actually think Dallas is going to pull the upset in this game. Unless Philly, let's put it this way. Unless Philly drops 4 turnovers like they did against the Jets, the Jets would do for that win. That was a game. I like the Jets in that game. But in this game, in a division, no way. Philly's going to take care of business in this game. I'm sorry. All you folks down there and listening and all around, no way. Philly's taking care of business in Philadelphia come Sunday against Dallas.
I don't know what you've seen from Philly all year to say that they're going to take care of business. They have not looked like the
regular business. They've been beating teams left and right, and they've lost like 1 game. And they maybe didn't cover in 1 other game. They're taking care of business. They're doing what they need to do.
They don't look very good winning these games.
All right.
And
Well,
what's going to happen is Dallas is going to come in because Dallas is going to be up for this game. This is a almost like a must win for them if they want to win the division.
they're not winning the
So
division. Dallas isn't going
I
anywhere.
didn't say they were winning the division. If they can win the division, this is a must win.
All
Philadelphia
right.
is still the better team, but when it's all said and done, Dallas is going to be up and they're going to stuff it down Philly's face.
Okay. All right. So we move to the game on Sunday night. Buffalo at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's a favorite by 3. Who you liking in this game, JB?
So Buffalo's coming off a win on Thursday night. They got the extra rest. They're going to need it to figure out what's going on in Buffalo, why they're not playing the way everyone expected them, and they have in previous years. Cincinnati's coming off a great win at San Francisco. Huge win. San Francisco's playing down the last few weeks, but still, Cincinnati's coming back and starting to play better ball. Burrow finally looks healthy. I think Cincinnati's going to take care of business, and Buffalo's going to be in trouble.
I on this game, I have to agree with you completely. Cincinnati's the team. Joe Burrow's looking comfortable. He's not getting sacked as much. He's definitely looking in the groove nicely. He had a great game against San Francisco. He took them to the house. It was an amazing game. He really picked them apart. San Francisco, they look like a really bad team out there. Purdy had 2 interceptions. He was trying to hurry the ball. Joe Burrow is Joe Cool. I love the way he does, the way he plays football. Nothing bothered this guy. I mean, he can be down on the 20-yard line, his own 20, with about 2 seconds left, and he's not worried, and he'll find a way to win. You got, first of all, Cincinnati, what they're going to do, and I can tell you what's worked for them in the past. To stop Josh Allen, you got to have a spotter. They've done it before with Mahomes. That's why they beat them in Kansas City, that championship game, because they had a spotter in the second half, and Mahomes got like 0 yards rushing. Josh Allen loves to take off. They don't have a really great running back there that they can rely on. So Josh Allen is the one that's going to be the guy who's going to be doing the running, and Cincinnati will definitely have a spotter back there. Also, they got to get the run game going. Cincinnati's got Joe Mixon and maybe another guy. They got to get the run going. That's how they're going to take care of business on Sunday night. Cincinnati -3. I like them. They got to take care of business, and that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you for once. I mean, it doesn't happen very often. I think it's going to be a fun game to watch, but I think Cincinnati wins.
Okay, the big game, the last game that we're looking at so far is the Chargers -3 at the New York Jets on Monday night. I will start
So,
off.
so
Uh,
before we get to the analysis, I got to ask you what the Chargers have done this year and what the Jets have done. How do they make the Chargers the favorite of this game on the road going across the country?
because the Jets basically have not been able to. I mean, they barely beat the Giants. Okay, they got lucky beating the Giants. Their offense is terrible. Zach Wilson, he's had some good quarters, but he hasn't had much else. And if Justin Herbert has a good offense and a good night, it would be they're just better.
Right. The Jets won 3 in a row. They beat the Eagles. They lost to the Chiefs by 3. They lost to the Patriots by 5. The only game they weren't in was the Cowboy game.
Well, the thing is about the game with Kansas City, they should have lost by 9 because 10 because what happened is Mahomes was running for the end zone and he just laid down at the 1 and he should have scored the touchdown. He just went for the first down and he kind of blew the cover for everybody because the spread on that game was like 8, and if he would have scored the touchdown, instead he just got the first down and just sat down for the rest of the game. So they really beat him by 10 even though the score says 23-20. But the Jets, yes, their defense was very good, but they didn't really. I mean, look who they played. The Giants. They should have went all over them. They had no quarterback, and they scored 13 points. They couldn't even get their offense going. They had field goals left and right. So this game, I like the Chargers. I like them at the Jets. The Jets, really. I don't know what's going on with them, but believe it or not, the Chargers have the 6th rushing defense, and the Jets like to run. It's going to be tough. And once you put it all on Zach Wilson's shoulders, you can forget about it. Zach Wilson is not a kind of guy that can carry the team. He needs a good run game, and the running game is not, it's not going to be working out. So,
I don't know who the Chargers beat that you think that they deserve to be favorites traveling across the country.
They deserve to be favorites. I'm just going by what the spread is. I didn't, I
Right.
don't make the spread. They also the Chargers also have the 7th ranked total offense, and you have a team that they can score points if they don't turn the ball over. They can run the ball if they don't turn it over, and the Jets going to be overwhelmed.
I don't know. The Jets are 5th against the pass, so I don't know that they're going to be able to throw the ball. The Chargers, they're 31st against the rush, so maybe Eckler could do some work or do some damage. The offense is horrible. There's no question about that. Zach Wilson is not the answer. It's not what the Jet fans had hoped this year. But the defense is going to keep the game within reach. And, the Chargers do what the Chargers do. They blow games. And, if the Jets need a touchdown, they're in trouble. But I don't think they're going to need a touchdown. It's going to be a tight game, and a field goal is going to win it for them. And they're going to cover.
Well, I think the Chargers are going to cover in this game. I think they'll win by a touchdown. It'll be one of these kind of maybe sloppy games. And I like the Chargers to win the game by 7 on Monday night.
Definitely be a fun game to watch. I mean, the Jets are better than anyone thought they'd be at 4-3 after losing Aaron Rodgers. That's for sure. Because I know you didn't think they'd be 4-3 right now, because I didn't.
Nobody did. Nobody did.
I think they're going to be 5-3. You think they're going to be 500, but either way, still impressive work for them. And if the Chargers could pull out a win, they get back to 500. So it's an important game for them as well. Big implications on that game.
Yep. And since it was, let's look at the Raiders. Look what happened to the Raiders. They fired the coach. They fired the offensive coordinator. Jimmy G is going to be benched for this game. Aiden O'Connell is going to start. The Raiders, this is what they do. They fire coaches. They bring in bad coaches, and they go nowhere. They're a team, on Monday night, we both picked Detroit, and Detroit should have scored 40 if they didn't get in their own way. They threw a pick six. I think they fumbled the ball. They
got a penalty on the last one that they would have scored.
Yeah, they missed a field goal. They were getting field goals. They were inside the red zone like 50 times, getting field goals. And the Raiders are terrible. And I feel bad for Max Crosby because he's got nobody on the other side. He's the only one. And
he's not. You know what? I was watching the Detroit game, and when you watched Gibbs run, and when he ran to his side at Crosby doesn't play his position properly. Yeah, he makes spectacular plays, but because he doesn't keep outside contained, when Gibbs ran to that side, how many times did he get 7, 8, 10 yards?
Yeah, but you got nobody helping him. It would be a lot different if he had somebody helping him.
Yeah, but listen, it's basic premise.
He's the only one. You got to understand.
Matter. He's got to keep his position.
Focusing on one guy. He has no help. The defensive line for the Raiders is
that means you abandon your position and play however you want.
He's not abandoning. He's doing what he can. Believe me,
no.
You can't. One guy cannot do the whole.
His job is to have outside contained, not to be the guy who makes every play. If everybody plays their position, that's what you do to help your team. It's not to be out of position and make a spectacular play, because that doesn't do anything in the end. Then you got a guy like Gibbs that'll run at you and he'll get 10 yards because you're too busy going inside.
Well, anyway, so those are the 5 games that we're doing this week. Little side note about the Raiders.
And still with the Raiders, with Aiden O'Connell, 2 weeks ago when they were in Chicago, why'd they play Hoyer and not O'Connell? What was the point of that? Jimmy G was out. You probably weren't going to beat the Bears anyway. And obviously you didn't. So why not play the rookie at that point and see what you have?
Yeah. Well, that's why Josh McDaniels is he's out of a job.
Yeah, I
And
was shocked.
everybody says he did a great job in New England as the offensive coordinator. As I said for years, he was the offensive consultant because Tom
Yeah.
Brady was probably calling his own plays.
Well,
And
I mean,
he was there to just help him and give him plays that he could use during the game. There's no way you're going to tell me that he was the offensive coordinator with Tom Brady. I'm
listen,
sorry.
Belichick is a really good coach, one of the top of all time. But look at him without Tom Brady. So there's your answer about McDaniels. You know, as much as I'm not a fan of Tom Brady, he was special, and you can't take anything away from the man. He was a winner.
Nope, not at all. So, okay.
Before we go, any moves on the trade deadline that surprised you or that you thought were going to help the team?
Washington getting rid of, Sweat and Young. They're looking to build. They felt that those two were kind of like disappointments and injury prone. But Young will definitely help San Francisco. Sweet. I didn't think, or Sweat, whatever you want to say, Mendez. I don't know if he's going to help Chicago. Chicago got plenty of problems as it is. Not too many deals. Joshua Dobbs going to Minnesota is like a stopgag. Arizona's terrible anyway. Minnesota all of a sudden got a resurgence, but we'll see. We'll see.
I thought the 49ers move was genius, though. They traded a third-round pick for Chase Young if he's on his last year of his contract. Cheap contract. If they lose him to free agency, they get back a third-round pick. And if they sign him, they got the guy they wanted. A number 2 pick as for a third-round pick.
Chase Young is auditioning for the job. He'll see how he does in San Francisco, and if he does well,
But imagine that they basically traded it for nothing. It was a third-round pick they got for one of their coordinators. So they got a free third-round pick, which they traded. And if they lose the guy they traded for, they get another third-round pick. That's a genius move. That's why the 49ers are the 49ers, because their front office is next level.
Yep.
So where can people find you?
You can go to jeffcadillac.com. You could also find my best bet on Twitter on Fridays, and right here every Wednesday night on the J&J Sports Express.
Just remember, 8-0 on Thursday nights. We disagree this week, but the man is 8-0, so I'm going to defer to him. But if I win, I win. But still, 8-0. Go to jeffcadillac.com. What are you waiting for? JB_ the program on Twitter. I'll be up next with Confidential in about a half hour. South Florida Sports Exchange later on tonight. We got the Sideline Sports every Tuesday, 8:30. It's on the air in Atlanta, WDJY. Wednesday morning, 7 to 8. We got the NFL pregame show every Sunday, 12 to 1. It's all over the place. Go to Sideline Sports. Follow us there. Go to jeffcadillac.com. We'll see you guys next Wednesday. Be safe and enjoy the games.
Enjoy.